Now that Bach and Saeed have been convicted, here's a look at where things stand with the 70 defendants in the case. 44 people have either pleaded guilty or been found guilty at trial. 2 were acquitted. 1 defendant has died, and tonight 23 people are still awaiting trial. Of the $250 million reportedly stolen, Lou Raguse estimates about $60 million has been recovered. Throughout the trial, the prosecution presented stunning evidence on the number of kids Feeding Our Future claimed to be serving. While it raised some red flags at the state level, no one in state government has been reprimanded or lost their job. After the verdict came down, we asked Governor Walz about that.
But I remind people on this, no one in state government was involved in any crime. We just need to make sure that we put up more firewalls, more security, more ability to make sure that these criminals aren't able to prey on this.
Tonight, experts who have been watching the developments in this case say they're hoping it brings change. Raya Katene spoke with one, calling for more accountability and oversight. Raya?
Rena, this case is putting a spotlight on who should be held accountable when it comes to oversight of nonprofits that rely on taxpayer money. A University of Minnesota professor says there were red flags in this case that were simply ignored.
More than 20 defendants are still awaiting trial in the Feeding Our Future fraud case.
This is a massive fraud scheme.
After a jury this afternoon found 2 of the major players guilty on all counts. Erica McDonald was not involved in the investigation, but as Minnesota's former U.S. attorney, she understands the scope of the case.
The U.S. Attorney's Office is doing an excellent job of putting together a very, very large fraud scheme, being able to explain it to the jury, and doing that not in just one trial, but multiple trials.
A massive fraud on this scale, hundreds of millions of dollars, cannot be accomplished without the complicity of a lot of people. I would expect there would be more convictions in the future.
Richard Painter is the law and ethics professor at the University of Minnesota. He says cases like these contribute to the public's mistrust of nonprofits that rely on taxpayer dollars.
There were red flags. The Minnesota Department of Education suspected that something was wrong and they did not want to disperse funds to Feeding Our Future.
In 2021, a Ramsey County judge sided with Feeding Our Future after the Minnesota Department of Education tried to withhold money from the nonprofit and prevent new meal sites from forming.
There have been warning signs on Feeding Our Future that were ignored. And that is tragic for the people of the state of Minnesota and for our country as a whole.
Painter says he hopes these convictions will lead to reforms and more accountability moving forward.
For a nonprofit to receive hundreds of millions of dollars of taxpayer money without a professional auditor being able to ascertain what's happening with that money is wrong.
KARE 11 has been following this case for nearly 3 years. We will keep following it as more legal cases are resolved. Stick with us for all the latest developments.